Hey now, somebody's got to milk the goats. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster together to move beyond what is true and find our way all the way to the truth. I am the Professional Noticer.
Just get me the Duke boys in that car.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. While our topics might seem to vary wildly at times, it's because the things you care about most are curiously greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will be all over the map, fielding questions about business and spiritual issues and popular culture, and we'll occasionally attempt to answer conundrums like, how do you know when you're out of invisible ink? My purpose here, today, and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grills. You know, these are my grills. These are my grills. I may have said something before about it. I've had other grills in my lifetime, but now I have the Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grill. I had, I guess at first, the first grill I ever bought was the same kind of grill my dad had. I grew up with my dad, like you probably did, piling those pressed chunks of wood, debris into the briquettes, and they put them in there. My dad would squirt stuff out of the can, and they must have made that out of something different than they make it today. Because I see my boys sometimes using that. They don't use it on the Kamado Joe, but I'll see them using it some other, and I'm like, be careful. But it doesn't seem to be as flammable as it was when my dad was grilling outdoors. And my dad would put that stuff all over the briquettes, and then he'd hit everybody back, and he'd strike a match and throw it to the grill. It'd be like, whoomp. And literally, there were people like, the Andrews are barbecuing tonight. How do you know? Well, it's the mushroom cloud that came over the roof line. And so I had one of those grills. Then I had a gas grill. Everybody had a gas grill. I finally figured out, why do I have a gas grill? I just might as well cook indoors. Just cooking with heat. But then I got a Kamado-style grill, and I loved it, but there were so many parts of it that just drove me nuts. And I found this story. I love stories, and I found a story about a couple of guys that were just grilling enthusiasts, and they loved it, but they had the same issues I had curiously, with the same grill. And these guys, though, had the time, the ability that allowed them to design and develop a better grill, and the circumstances were perfect for them to bring that grill to us. It's the Kamado Joe, all sizes, all specialized tools. There's no raking out the ashes on this. There's the drawer. You pull it out. It's unbelievable. They have just the drawer is unbelievable, and the hinge. The hinge is stainless steel, and it's counterbalanced. My wife can lift the lid of our huge Kamado Joe with her pinky. Okay? We have the Jotisserie. Kamado Joe is the world's best ceramic cooker. So check out KamadoJoe.com or look for a dealer near you. Tell them the Professional Noticer sent you. They won't have any clue what you're talking about. Observations and answers, what we do here. I'll deliver the observations, you provide the questions. And questions are a critical component of the person you and I aspire to become. 1-800-726-ANDY for your questions. We really appreciate you taking the time to articulate something going on in your life. And let's take a shot at it together and try to apply some understanding, some common sense, some wisdom. Our first question today is from Nancy. She's from Florida. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. This is Nancy from Florida. Last week, I had a dear friend whose handicapped son killed himself. We are all beside ourselves with grief, but I know we're bumbling our way through and feel like I'm not really there for my friend. I don't feel like I'm saying the right things or doing what I need to do. Any advice you can spare? I appreciate your help. Thanks.
Oh, hey, Nancy. I can't imagine what your friend is going through, what you guys are going through as a group, a family, community. Man, I'm so sorry. Let me just say that. I am so sorry. Yeah, and I know what you feel like when you say, I don't feel like I'm saying the right things or doing what I need to do. I'm not really there from a friend, because I kind of feel that way about you right now, Nancy. I feel like, oh my gosh, this is way beyond my meager abilities to figure something. This is, it's a life situation that is probably the worst that a parent can ever deal with. And right now, I would imagine, Nancy, that your friend, you don't feel like you're saying the right things because there are no right things to say. I'm not saying there's wrong things and there's right things. There's just really nothing to say at this point, right at this moment. Just be there with her. Just be there. If she looks like she's thirsty, get her a glass of water. If she looks like she's sleepy and doesn't need to go to sleep, get her a cup of coffee. If she looks like she's hungry, offer to get something. But just be with her. If she wants to talk, let her talk. If she don't want to talk, don't talk. You mentioned that your friend's son who killed himself was handicapped. And I want to say, for my purposes, because I don't know if that had anything to do with why he felt like he needed to take his life. But for my purposes, that doesn't really make any difference. Certainly doesn't make any difference for your friend, right? I mean, that's their son. There's a jillion different handicaps, but that's their son. I do need to say this. At some point, I don't know if this son was a teenager or an adult son, but there is one thing that does need to be addressed with a number of people, and I'm not sure who those people are. If this is a teenager who had classmates, this needs to be addressed. If this is a big brother, it needs to be addressed. If this handicapped son was an adult and had children of his own, this needs to be addressed. But I have noticed, I don't know any studies on this or anything like that. I bet I could find them, but I have noticed that when people commit suicide, there is a greater likelihood of that happening in that family or in that organization, as you would see a school of high school age kids, But I see that happening generationally. I don't really know what that is other than, Granddaddy killed himself. And so suddenly, if somebody is having a really, really rough time, horrible depression, but because Granddaddy did that, that's kind of on the table. That's an option. That becomes an option. It becomes a choice. It becomes a possibility. Now, it's like a roller coaster, Because if Granddaddy killed himself and Daddy killed himself, then it becomes more of an option. And it becomes more likely in the children of that family. And I got to tell you, man, if a third generation does it, it's like a freaking roller coaster. This is a horrible thing to have happen to a family. I've heard everybody, I say everybody, I've heard a lot of people say different things about suicide. I've heard people say that it's selfish. I've heard people say it's lonely. I've heard so many different things. The only thing I know is that I feel somehow introspective about something like that. I mean, what kind of world have I created for that person? Where is there anything that could have been done differently? I mean, how sad to get to a point where you think that is your only option. And moms, dads, teenagers, grandparents, if you are listening to me right now, this is not your only option. Sadly, I think people do this, make this attempt when they get to a point they don't matter. I worked years ago with the Air Force and suicides, and their experts told them that these people were making this attempt and sometimes succeeding when they, not necessarily when they were angry or not when they were necessarily depressed, but when they finally reached a point where they thought they did not matter. So in their minds, I'm depressed and I don't matter, or I'm mad, I don't see getting over being this mad, and I don't matter. And that would be kind of an end point. And so our challenge became to prove a life, to prove how much somebody mattered. And a couple of years later, I mean, that was actually the information that I was flown in an F-16 into a place where they had all the generals and wing commanders and everybody from Europe and the Middle East all into one place at one time. And we taught them how to prove a life with the butterfly effect. That story of Chamberlain and George Washington Carver, and that it became that book eventually, The Butterfly Effect, but that had its genesis in suicides and in what was happening in the Air Force. So at some point, Nancy, there's going to need to be conversations with people, with family members, maybe with friends, maybe, and you need to watch each other, right? Just don't let anybody get to that point again. But there will be an opportunity that you can tell this mother what her son meant to you and how much his life mattered. There will be the opportunity for his friends to talk about how much his life mattered. And ultimately, that is going to be what will help his parents heal. Okay? I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges, finding an answer for you. Our questions prompt critical thinking, which leads to answers. So always remember the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. We have another question today from Sarah. Sarah is from Virginia. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy. This is Sarah from Virginia. And I work for a large company, and it's been great up until a few years ago. Another large company bought us out, and the atmosphere has changed for the worse. There's a toxic internal competitive stress level that was never there before. Everyone's on edge and snippy and has an "it's not my job" attitude. I try to be the beacon of light, smile every day, try to create a team atmosphere and an everyone dig in when you can help. But after a while, it starts to bring me down, no matter how hard you try to bring everyone else up. Any advice on how I can create a better atmosphere for my team and company? Thank you.
Sarah in Virginia, thank you very much. You know, I've worked with several situations like yours. In fact, I've got a situation right now that I'm going into. It sounds exactly like what you're experiencing, except that I'm going in at the beginning. Okay, I really feel like I am sorry that you're having to deal with this on your level where you're down in there with the teams and you sound like you're down in the Coliseum, you're on the floor fighting because, you know, Caesar up here in the box should have figured out this was going to happen long before it did. Anytime, I've never seen it happen that two companies merged, that there wasn't this kind of thing going on unless it was taken care of early. And so, you know, the situation I've got right now, a huge company and a big company, and they have merged, and it's two teams. But we're hitting it before it becomes an issue. You know, anytime you can tell somebody, you're walking through the woods and, hey, just letting you know, there is a cliff up there. Okay, good, man. Thank you very much. I'll slow down when I get there. I may peer over, but I won't even get close. Leaders of companies, they sometimes astound me at their ability to try to save pennies when they're just spewing dollars out the back door with lack of production and lack of understanding in their workers, in their work base, in their employees, and in their clients, and it is just astounding. Okay, and so let me give you a couple of examples here, Sarah, and maybe I can help solve this for you, because somebody is going to have to come to an understanding of the truth here. The reason there's a toxic internal competitive stress level, the reason that everybody's on edge and snippy, the reason they have an "it's not my job" attitude is because these people do not know the truth about their situation. Now, I've never seen tiny companies merge, so you are obviously a part of a pretty big organization. And there's something that you can look at about organizations through the years, about big companies, big corporations. And that is that, they merge sometimes to try to make more money. That because we live in America and we don't live in Russia, people get to make money. They get to merge their companies. Hopefully the profits will be greater and they'll hire more people. But if there's a hitch, some of these people are going to lose their jobs. Some people are going to get laid off. So let me correct one thing here that I see all the time, and that is not my job. Let me tell you something, dude. Everything that is valuable to this company is your job. Okay? Everything. So, I wouldn't imagine they pay you per department, right? Do they pay this other department over there, do they get twice what they usually get? And sometimes you get 75% of what? No, you get a paycheck. And that paycheck is totally dependent on how well your company is doing. It kills me. I went in a store not too long ago, and I came out and I realized a guy in a truck was waiting to get to the gas pump. So I, sped up and kind of jogged over there, and I said, "Man, I'm so sorry." He said, "Dude, don't matter to me. I work by the hour." And I saw the name there on the side of the truck, and I knew the people who owned the company. But unfortunately, this guy working in the truck, he didn't understand that he has a lot of control over the company, certainly over his job. Because if that company, he has control, or he should take control and try to control, because if that company, at any point, that company doesn't have enough money to pay him, that they are not prospering, then he didn't have a job. Okay, so this is one thing, Sarah, that has to get across. We have to get this across to everybody, is that there is no "it's not my job." It's all our job. And we can, we can keep some kind of toxic internal, this stress level. We can be on edge and we be snippy, but do people work well when they're on edge and snippy? No, they don't. Do they produce well? No, they don't. Okay, do you want your company to do well? Oh, yes, you do. You want that company to do well because you want to keep your job. People say, well, they're not going to fire me for being snippy. They're not going to fire me for being on edge. Just because there's a stress, so they're not going to fire me for that. No. But all those things work together to create a lower level of production. And no, they're not going to fire you for being snippy, maybe. They're not going to fire you for some kind of toxic atmosphere that you can. But when that company is not doing well enough to keep you on board, you are gone. And it doesn't matter what department you work in. Well, the management, no. There's no, management. On a ship, I've never seen a ship. I've never seen half a ship sink. Let's put it that way. I've never seen the management to sink and the crew stay up above the water. I've never seen the crew sink and the management able to keep their part of the ship up. That company, when it merged together, you got a pontoon boat. That's what you have. And that thing is either going to stay up or it's going down. Because you got one ship. One ship. And so you are doing great, Sarah. And somehow you will be hugely valuable to these people when you get across to them the why. In the little things, I think it's chapter 13, where I wrote about change. And this covers almost everything. Change covers almost everything. See, right now you got this toxic atmosphere, people on edge, snippy. All right, you want them to change. Okay, do you remember the two things required for change? In chapter 13 of the little things, the two things required: what's in it for me and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, so you want these people to change. What's in it for them is, you keep your job. How about that? And then proof beyond a reasonable doubt is it makes sense. People should be able to see that if the company does well, they will do well. And if the company does not do well, they'll find another job. And so it just makes sense. You want people to change. What's in it for me? And proof beyond that reasonable doubt. Listen, I have no doubt, Sarah, you took the time to talk. You took the time to think through this. You are trying to be a beacon of light and smile every day and to create that teamwork atmosphere. And you will. You watch. You just tell them the truth and tell them with a smile and tell them with a laugh. And these people will be following you in no time. This is leadership. That's what it is. It's leadership. Okay? All right. Thank you. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, and I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. And so, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, if all the world's a stage, where is the audience sitting? So, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Throat Coat tea bags provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by EffectivePoliticians.org. To be an invited member of EffectivePoliticians.org, one must have demonstrated nonpartisan accomplishment, honesty, reliability, and personal character. EffectivePoliticians.org demands stringent adherence to an unwritten code of honorable behavior and wise decisions that effect positive change in a society that belongs to all the people. In other words, and in all things, to be a member in good standing of EffectivePoliticians.org, one must actually be a politician that is effective. That's EffectivePoliticians.org, the only professional political organization operating in Washington, D.C. for more than 50 years now without a single member. EffectivePoliticians.org.